Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session Regulatory Compliance in Asia. My name is Jorge Mago. I'm the Hyperbaric Asia Director. I take care of the whole market of Asia, which is the third market for HPP across the world in terms of size. The first will be North America, followed by Europe, and then Asia. But Asia is characterized by a very strong paced growth, especially during this year, 2021. The market is growing notably in the farthest east of Asia, in Japan, Korea, and China. So today we would like to give an approach to the regulations across Asia and how companies can comply, so companies can feel reassured that they can launch the HPP products into the market. For this task, today will join me Dr. Kazutaka Yamamoto from the NARO in Japan.
Hello.
Dr. Kazu.
Hello, Jorge. Hello, everybody.
And my colleague Carol, Dr. Carol Tonello from the Applications Department. She's the Applications Director in Hyperbaric from Spain. Hello, Carol.
Hello, Kasu. Hello, George. Good to be with you. Thank you to the audience for joining this session. Very happy to be with you.
So today, Carol will be explaining us a bit about what are different situations we can face in Asia in terms of regulation. So we'll see what happens if you manufacture a product to sell in your own country, or to export to the European Union or to the United States, or finally, if you are a company outside of Asia and want to export your product into Asia. And Dr. Kazu will be explaining us the detailed situation in Japan, what is the situation in terms of regulations, and how companies can comply. So without more hesitation, Carol, if you would like to do the honors, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, George. So I will share my screen. Okay. Okay, I go there. Okay. I hope you can see my screen, George, if you can confirm.
Yes, I confirm we see it, Carol.
Oh, okay. So let's start. As George said, Asia is really the growing market at this time. And from the 500 or now a bit more than 500 HPP machine installed for commercial production all over the world, more than 100 are located in Asia, in 14 different countries, as you can see on the slides. The market is really growing in the juice processing. You can see some example on the slide. There are also other products sold or produced in Asia: fruit products, ready-to-eat meals, seafood, algae products, or meat, cooked and dry cured meat. In my presentation, I will try to cover, as George said, the different scenarios. Just a slide so you can see the panorama. You can have a global idea of the machine we have, hyperbaric machine we have in different country in Asia. How to comply? First, as in any region in the world, the food manufacturer, the manufacturer that process HPP food, has to determine the pressure and time conditions, which is, for example, 6,000 bar 3 minutes or whatever. And this is HPP, inactivate microorganisms. So this needs to be included in the ASAP plan. So this is mandatory for ASEAN countries, ASEAN manufacturers as all over the world, if I can say. And those parameters of pressure and time are linked to the sensory and microbial shelf life study that need to be performed for each product category the manufacturer wants to process under pressure. Then when those parameters are determined, when the manufacturer knows the shelf life or the parameters required to reach the shelf life, the food safety objective, and the sensory characteristic required for the market to be able to commercialize the products, the producer need to be sure about the compliance in production on site in his country, and also, of course, in the country where the product will be commercialized. So this is why we have different scenarios. So if the product, well, first I would say the clearest things in Asia is that there is no specific regulation for HPP product, as far as we know in a hyperbaric, and there are some specific regulation in the US, in Europe, in other countries like Australia, New Zealand, but in Asia, as far as we know, there are nothing specific related to HPP or non-thermal processed products. So the rule is compliance of the domestic regulation according to the product category in force in the country. It means that to be able to sell HPP juice in South Korea, in Thailand, in Malaysia, the producer to sell in its domestic market has to comply with the local regulation for this type of product. So in China, it's the juice regulation. So this is clear. This is not because the product is processed under pressure that the producer can forget or can avoid the domestic regulations, which could be different in each country, because the food safety regulation has been built for now many years, around 100 years, and so with the evolution in different countries, the regulation could be different. So first, on the product of production, the process need to comply with the domestic market regulation. If the product is exported to another ASEAN country, as there is no specific regulation, the product has to comply the domestic regulation in the country where it's produced, but also where it has to be exported. So if you want to export to Japan, to any ASEAN country, you need to be aware of what are the regulation in this country. When the product is to be exported to European Union, for example, this Thai coconut water sold in Europe, what the ASEAN manufacturer has to know is that the HPP foods are not considered as novel food in Europe. Even if there was a novel food file 20 years ago, this is no more considered as a novel process, a novel technology, which would require a novel food file. So in this condition, which regulation has to be followed? Well, like for any type of product sold in European Union, you have to follow, or the food manufacturer has to follow the regulation, the 2005 regulation. So depending the product, the product need to follow the microbial characteristic, the critical to be below the critical limits are detailed, like you can see an example in this table. And then in Europe, there is special regulation also concerning plastic material. HPP products are processed in general in pack in their final packaging. So the plastic migration is a concern in Europe, and the food producer has to make some validation, some analysis to check the level of plastic component that could migrate in the product. In all the studies, our company Hyperbaric has been involved. HPP has never increased the level of migration from the plastic to the product. But this is a general concern about plastic migration we have in Europe, and so this has to be assessed. If the product has to be exported to the US, then in the US there are some special chapter where HPP is mentioned. So you can see this is quite detailed, but HPP is considered as a lethally process, so a process that can kill microorganisms, and a process which is used to kill microorganisms, especially pathogen like Listeria, and so some level of inactivation are, depending the food category, are defined. When it's meats, it could be 2 or 3 logs in reduction, depending. When it's juice, this is a 5 log reduction. So the beverage producer has to prove that with the pressure and the time applied to his product, to his juice, the contamination of microorganisms, pathogen like Listeria, E. coli, and Salmonella would be reduced by 5 log. So this needs to be proved by validation and challenge test. And my colleagues in Miami, in Hyperbaric USA, can help for this type of things. We have, I don't want to enter really in details, because we have a session dedicated to validation in the US, and another one validation of the products in European Union. So if you are interested, you can see this, you can watch the session. In the case of Asian product that will be exported to USA, of course, you have to follow the USA regulation. But like this product, this seaweed salad, you can the manufacturer, Asian manufacturer, or any other manufacturer in the world can apply to the high pressure certified requirements logo. Wearing the logo, I don't know if you can see, but in the bottom part of this this product, you can see the logo on the side, and this is not the compliance of FDA regulation is mandatory, but non-mandatory but recommended if you want to have a global standard is to use the cold pressure council logo, and to apply to this program, to the high pressure certified program, which will guarantee that your products is recognized in with this global standard. If you want to have more detail, please have a look to this website, or ask us, and we will be very happy to explain. We have also a session with the representative of the Cold Pressure Council if you want to know more. When the non-ASEAN products are exported to Asia, in general, they comply with the Western regulation, USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and they are in general accepted because they are stricter than the domestic or the ASEAN country regulation. But of course, this has to be checked and case by case. And if you want to export to Asia, you need to ask if you need to be sure that the product you export will comply. Food exported to Japan. Well, in this case, but Dr. Yamamoto will give much more detail in the next presentation. Japan is an example that we took, for example, and some European countries are exported to Japan, and they follow the cattle meat product regulation. This is also the case for products coming from Mexico or from Malaysia, sold in Japan, and Dr. Kasu will give us more detail of with the example of Japan, which rules has to be followed. In conclusion, this technology started 30 years ago with the first products commercialized in 1990 in Japan, in Asia. So Japan has been the pioneer country with HPP, and the technology HPP has now 30 years of history without product recall or consumer health concern. So the technology is proven safe. It has been proved as a lethally process killing microorganisms, including pathogens in many countries from the US, Europe, Australia, and a safe option for food preservation. There is no general rule to comply in Asia, and so the regulation compliance varies depending the country and the products. So you have to check. But I hope that this presentation gave you a little bit of light of what has to be done. In any case, if you have any question, please be free to contact us, to contact the hyperbaric application team. We will be very happy to help you. And I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Carol. That was very interesting. As you can see, the situation is complex. There are many cases. As Carol said, I would like to tap on Mr. Kasu's experience in Japan to introduce a bit the situation in Japan and what is the regulation currently in Japan. So welcome, Mr. Kasu. The floor is yours. I think you are mute.
Sorry for that. Now, can you hear me?
We hear you and we see your screen.
Okay. Now, I'd like to start regulations in Japan for food and beverage treated with high hydrostatic pressure. Thank you very much, Jorge, for your kind introduction. My name is Kazutaka Yamamoto. I'm working at the Institute of Food Research, National Agriculture and Food Research Organization in Japan. And I'd like to talk about this topic today. As Carol has introduced, Japan is a pioneer of high hydrostatic pressure treatment or HHP food processing. High pressure processing from the land of the rising sun. And this picture is for the Professor Rikimaru Hayashi, late professor, father of high pressure food processing. And he has suggested to us to commercialize high pressure processing first in Japan and also as well as in the world. And this is the first product issued in 1990, 30 years ago, first high pressure processed foods, and it was jams and jams, strawberry, apple, and blueberry. If you can read these Japanese, you can understand it better. And as you may know, we can process with high pressure and we can realize these very important phenomena. High pressure can pasteurize at cold temperature, and high pressure can shock the lobsters and bivalves and so forth. And high pressure can denature the proteins and starch, and high pressure can enhance impregnation, while heat processing can, of course, pasteurize food and sometimes sterilize foods, but due to the enhanced chemical reactions, the freshness is lost. Therefore, high pressure was applied to process jams, which require nice flavor, color, and nutrients. And in Japan, we have two categories of high pressure food processing. One is, as you may know, the low temperature high pressure processing. We call it HHP at low temperature, 600 megapascals at usually and 5 to 10 Celsius. Juice, as you know, and meat products and shocking. They are all commercialized in the world. However, we also have another category, medium high hydrostatic pressure treatment at medium high temperature. For instance, 100 megapascal at 60 to 80 Celsius. And we process fruit compotes by enhancing the liquid impregnation into the core of the fresh fruit flesh, and while pasteurizing by this medium high temperature, and we can successfully prolong the shelf life up to 1 year in refrigerators, and we can process broth by accelerating enzymatic digestion of proteins and so forth. And shiitake can be totally liquefied, and also clam can also be totally liquefied for extract or broth use. We have some categories of high pressure treated foods. As I have explained, Japan is a pioneer. However, the market hasn't grown so fast. The market is still not big, and we have high pressure treated rice products, which is uh, uh, produced by high pressure to enhance the liquid impregnation into the core of rice grains, even the brown rice. And high pressure treated herbs are used to make rice cakes, to mix with herb and rice cake. You can have nice green color rice cake. And high pressure shacking, as you know, we have also high pressure shacked oysters. Now, recently, we can get it at frozen shacked oysters. High pressure treated meat products are now also available. They are old and they have diminished before, but now some other companies have been producing meat products by using large machine, and product was made by hyperbaric machine. And recently we have high pressure treated salads produced by QP Corporation. I don't know the machine brand, but I can guess. And now the most important point today is the Food Sanitation Act in Japan. You have to comply with this act in Japan because we don't have international guidelines or standards as for high pressure treated food safety. Therefore, if you want to export your products to Japan, you have to follow this Food Sanitation Act. Especially notification number 370 is important. Although it was born in 1959, very, very old, even older than I am, and you have to follow this notification number 370. However, unfortunately, we don't have official translations of this notification 370, and this is a problem, or maybe a obstacle for the trade of high pressure products from other countries. And this I have unofficially translated the Japanese into this English. And A, B, C, D. A is foods categorized by food components. B, foods categorized by standards for manufacturing, processing, and cooking. And C, foods categorized by storage standards. And the most important, maybe D, specified foods. Standards for contents, usage, manufacturing, processing, cooking, and storage are described. Among them, as for beverages, non-alcoholic beverages are described here, and as Carol introduced, meat products, cattle meat products regulation is quite important. And the others, fish meat paste and mature salmonidae raw and salted immature salmonidae raw and salted raw coal and some specific agar and a bit curious, but we have these categories. And if you want to, for instance, export non-alcoholic beverages, I will focus on this issue. We have to follow this regulation in Japanese, written in Japanese. But this is a translation by JETRO. JETRO is a Japan External Trade Organization, very special expertise. However, their translation is provisional, and there are some mistakes I found. For instance, pasteurized was it's translated like sterilization and sterilized, or bacteria elimination in the others, and we cannot. I suggest you shouldn't trust this translation, but this is the only available on the website and as a translation of the notification number 370. Therefore, I have translated by myself, unofficially, of course, and I would like to introduce you the details. Non-alcoholic beverages, I will shorten NABs, except for mineral water, frozen fruit juices. This is frozen, and in another category we have frozen foods and fruit juices used as raw materials. Therefore, this is not directly taken by the consumers. However, for the factories, and water used as raw material must be potable and otherwise be conform to meet the specifications below. That's nothing important, but NABs must be first filled in a container or package, hermetically capped or sealed, and subsequently pasteurized, or they must be automatically filled in a container or package with hermetical capping or sealing after pasteurization, using, for instance, a pasteurizer with an automatic temperature monitor, or after microbial eradication by filtration and other methods. The following methods shall be used for pasteurization. This is very important. Eradication of microbes. As exceptions, pasteurization or eradication of microbes is not required for NABs, non-alcoholic beverages containing no tissue components of animals and or plants. When the partial pressure or carbon dioxide inside their container or package is 98 kilopascals or more. This means the carbonated beverages which is available in the vendors and in the PET bottles. So please pay attention to this A, B, C, but especially A and B. Non-alcoholic beverages below pH 4.0 must be pasteurized by a method that heats the center at 65 Celsius for 10 minutes, or a method of equivalent or higher efficacy. This is described only in Japanese, and this says that the, for instance, your juice, high pressure treated juice, must comply with this sentence if it's the food pH is lower than 4.0. If higher than 4.0, including 4.0, excluding those that fall under the case C below here, exception, must be pasteurized by a method that heats the center at 85 Celsius for 30 minutes, or a method of equivalent or higher efficacy. It means very difficult. Can you imagine this level of heating? Can you achieve this by using only high pressure? It's a bit difficult if the pH is high. But if you cannot comply with these sentences, you cannot sell the products or bring the products to Japan. Curious. But this is the regulation in Japan. How to obtain approval for high pressure processed non-alcoholic beverages in Japan? Of course, some industries or companies have exported their products to Japan. Requirements for pasteurization is described as below: heating or the method of equivalent or higher efficacy. Therefore, we have to comply with this. Options for approval, there are two. One is the consultation. You better consult with a relevant authority in Japan, such as the local health department and Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare in the central Tokyo, to discuss the test conditions, because there is no description on the test conditions in the regulation for proving the equivalent or higher efficacy. For that purpose, you need probably fluent Japanese and sound knowledge of food processing and microbial testing. I think this is a burden for you. Fluent Japanese. Even me, I sometimes feel difficulty to talk with public servant, even with my fluent Japanese. Therefore, it is a bit difficult, I guess. And another way is to ask a scientific attaché of your embassy in Japan for advice to obtain solid scientific evidence for fair trade set by WTO, World Trade Organization. And since there is no international criteria for high pressure foods or high pressure beverages, we need to comply with the regulations and standards in each country. But there is sometimes difficulty. However, if you go to, first of all, to a U.S. embassy in each country in Asia, you may be able to find a clay or key to solve this problem. Possible discussion with the Japanese authority will be as follows. Principles and examples of high pressure food processing. Because they don't know at all or not much of high pressure food processing, these are usually asked to explain in detail what is high pressure, what is the level of pressure. You know that. Possible microbes contaminating the beverages to be high pressure processed. Pathogens, bacteria and viruses, as well as spoilage microbes such as yeast and mold. As Carol showed us, sometimes only the pathogens are regulated, but not spoilage microbes. But in Japan, these type of spoilage microbes are often included. Reduction level for each target microbe for safety or including quality deterioration. Reduction level should be discussed. Data on each matrix or mixed matrices, better to discuss after a final matrix design of your products. So it is sometimes easy, sometimes but difficult, but mostly difficult. And if you have questions, please contact me or please contact your embassy in Japan. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kazu. It was very interesting, especially very interesting to see products already in the market in Japan. So that will be all for the session of today. That was a brief insight into the regulatory compliance in Asia. We also had the chance to see some products that are in the market in Asia through Carol and Kazu's examples. We had the chance to learn that it's not an easy task, but it can be done with a proper support. We don't have time for questions today. Might you have any kind of questions? Don't hesitate to write to us, to Hyperbaric, to apps@hyperbaric.com. We are here to support you. We have a team of PhDs led by Carol that answers every day any question that you have about HPP, and we will be more than happy to help you comply with these regulations we've seen. So that will be all for today. I thank you very much, Dr. Kazu. I thank you very much, Dr. Tronello, and wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
For visiting us.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Kazu.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Jorge.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Okay.
Sayonara. Goodbye. Hasta la vista.